Hey everybody, welcome to another video for recordingacappella.com. I'm Danny Osmond. I'm going to answer a question this week that comes up periodically when people are thinking about either recording themselves or getting into the recording business, maybe as a career. They ask about which DAW should they choose, which Digital Audio Workstation, the software that actually records the things you are putting into it, putting into your computer. And I guess I have two separate answers. So if you are planning to just record your own group, do a few projects a year, maybe record an album every year or every couple of years or an EP, something like that, and you're not really thinking about this as a career, you might want to check with the editor or the mix engineer that you're choosing to send your project on to after you record it, because there are some things that happen in transferring and just moving files around that can make life a lot easier for the person you're sending it to. And if you save them time, you're actually saving money. And I'll demonstrate what I mean. So this is Pro Tools. This is what I use. And if a group sends me tracks just as wave files like this, you can see there's a whole group of waves for this group. First, I have to import it, which can take some time, depending upon how many tracks, how long the song is, how much silence is in the song. If there is silence in a track, it actually takes the processor and the computer longer to go through that and make sure it's not missing anything. So it can take more time. So we're almost done with the transfer here, or the import, I mean. Okay. And now it's imported. And then once everything shows up, I see, I've got some stereo tracks. I've got some mono tracks. It's pretty well labeled, so I kind of know what things are, but I'm going to have to reorganize some of this. I might have to color code some things, so it makes sense to me. But, this process might take 5 minutes. It might take 15. If it's really disorganized and all over the place, it might take me 30 minutes. And that's money. That's money for you. Now, if I get, here's a session, a Pro Tools session that I got from a group that recorded themselves. If I open it up right here, you'll see, boom, it opens up and it's ready to go for me. It's already color coded. You can see it's not just big long wave files. I can see the actual clips and regions where they punched in and out. I have the ability to change, information about what they did. I can fade things easily and correct issues if there was maybe a bad fade or something like that. I can pull the edge of that clip out and repair it and make it sound better, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a way to decide which DAW to use if you're not gonna be going into this as a career, if you're really just recording yourselves every once in a while. Now, the other thing to think about is if you are thinking of going into recording as a career, you should probably do some exploring first and some testing. Try the demo versions of a bunch of different DAWs to find the workflow that works best for you. Workflow is really important, in certain people's brains work differently. I've tried to use other DAWs and they just don't make sense for my brain. I also started using Pro Tools because all of the colleagues that I was working with and sending stuff back and forth to were using Pro Tools, and it just saved everybody a lot of time and a lot of headache. So Pro Tools is kind of the old school. It's been around forever. I like it because it basically, to me, even though I could switch to like a mixing board view, essentially to me it's like the mixing board turned on its side, because I have each track, which would be a channel on the mixing board. I've got inserts, I've got sends that I can think of as sends and returns, and I can add aux tracks and for my returns, et cetera, et cetera. I've got my in-out sort of routing here. I've got my pan pots. I've got also the fader itself is here. I've got all the things of a mixing board, so it just makes sense to my head because in my head because that's how I started out. Now, a lot of people getting started these days really like PreSonus's Studio One. It has a lot of the elements of Pro Tools. It's also really flexible. People seem to like it a lot, and you don't have some of the headaches of Pro Tools. There's also less expensive things out there like Reaper, which is a very different workflow and a very very flexible workflow where you can think of things differently and route things and move things around differently than you would in some other DAWs. And then Logic Pro remains a popular one. I tend to recommend it especially for people that are composers, people that are writing songs that want to have lots of cool loops and things like that built into the DAW that they can bring in. It lacks some of the workflow pluses that Pro Tools and some of the other robust DAWs have. But it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off for what you want to use it for. So I hope this advice has helped you. Maybe think about which DAW you're interested in getting. And as always, if you have any questions, put a comment below the video here, and I will respond or send me an email. Head on over to recordingacappella.com and sign up for the email list. You'll get the free ebook, but you'll also get some exclusive videos that people don't see on the blog until much later. This week I'll be doing a video exclusively for the email list about panning in a mix and ways and general rules for panning in a cappella mixes. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you next week.